Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Soft Side of Cyber podcast. I am Rob Wood. I am joined by my co-founder, co-host, Frank Demizio. This is our inaugural episode, and we are focused today on empathy in cybersecurity, building on a recent article that we published on the site. So, welcome, everyone. Hey, Frank, how you doing, buddy?
What's up, man? Our first podcast. This is awesome.
Right. It is. I'm excited about this. So, take us away. What do we?
Yeah. So, thinking about empathy, right? What are some of the steps that you think security teams could take to understand, what their counterparts in the organization are doing?
Well, I think there's like the big formal answer, right? Like human-centered design, research and studies and all that. But I feel like you just get out there and talk to people, or if you've ever been a developer and you've tried writing code yourself. I mean, I'm an AppSec fanboy, but like, you try writing code yourself and you're like, wow, this is freaking painful. And then you try writing secure code and you're like, whoo, oh boy. Or like running your own server or something. Like, you learn real quick, like how hard it can be, kind of like trying to walk a mile in somebody else's shoes.
Yeah, man. And also just like, I feel like, security, and it's deserved. We get a bad rap sometimes, but so you have to make sure that you're not a jerk, right? Like
that helps.
You know what I mean? So, because you're out there and folks are trying to do their best. And a lot of times we're showing up like, oh, you did your best work. That's great. No, you didn't do this. You didn't do that. Like you didn't do this. Expect your cool new tool to be, in production in about 18 months. Like we can't be those people.
I mean, it could be, but I mean, you don't win many friends that way.
No, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, I don't know about you, but like the last like production level code that I wrote, it was horrible. Absolutely horrible. And yeah, there's a lot of like we have a tendency as a field to kind of like, we like being the finger pointers, but not the we don't like the mirror getting turned back on us, or we don't kind of like walking in somebody else's shoes. So yeah, I feel like just getting in there and doing it will give you an appreciation at least.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, counter question: what role does leadership play in fostering a culture of empathy within an organization, whether it's within your security team or within your org as a broader, bigger sense?
Yeah. So I'm going to go with the good old line. Sometimes you got to fake it till you make it, right? And because so there, in organizations, there's competing priorities, there's tensions, there's all kinds of different things going on, and oftentimes there are some real difficulties, especially that flow down through the organization. But you have to keep your eye on the prize, right? And I think, I think we wrote about this a couple of weeks ago. The whole idea of commiserating is homey and nice, and they're those AppSec guys are jerks, right? Like that whole thing.
Whoa.
That's the nerve. But you kind of have to put all that aside and be the person that you want your organization to be, and hope that culture kind of flows down.
Yeah, I like that. I think I mean, it's definitely a thing, in any kind of leadership capacity, you can obviously have a big impact on the place that you're working or the team that you're leading, what have you. Something that I don't think we really talk about enough, though, we kind of encourage it to other people, like, like do the job before you've got the job. If you're not in you don't have designated leadership authority, you can still walk the walk, and you can still make an impact here. And like there's this guy, Seth Godin. He's this marketer and TED Talk speaker and author and all that. He's a funny, witty dude, and the way he communicates his ideas is just great. But he wrote this book a few years ago called Tribes, and one of the things that I love in that book is he's talking about like how ideas spread and how like anybody, regardless of the place and the organization they're at, can be like the leader of a tribe. You need to have like a passion, a following, and you just need to like kind of lean in and just keep doing it. He says it much more articulately. That's why he wrote the book. But you should definitely check it out if you haven't. It's a fun, quick, very insightful read, and I feel like it's something that, like, let's say you're like an on the front lines uh, pen tester or forensics incident responder, or you're doing vulnerability management, or you're writing policy, or what have you. Like, you're in a great position to kind of just demonstrate empathy for the people who are on the other side of whatever work you're doing, right? Like, you don't need your manager's approval to do it. Just do it, and you're going to start building these more like these like closer hold relationships and such, and it's gonna have kind of a trickle up effect, which trickle up and out.
Yeah, I love that because you know, for coming from the incident response side, right? I think, we do we do a lot of defense, right?
Yeah,
But then your incident responders are almost like your backstop. Like, hey, we're going to help you do all this defense, but even when all that fails, here we come. Like, we're still going to have your back. And
yeah,
so, kind of working through that, like, disaster is, yeah, I think that could build a lot of trust, and that could be a more kind of, like a more accessible way into the security org, because it's not, like, we're not telling them, no, you can't do that, no, you can't have that code, no, that's vulnerable, no, you can't, we're not. And so, we're kind of laying the groundwork for, to help out. And so, I think that people could, folks can relate to that a little bit easier. And and then I can introduce you to my friends who are going to tell you, you're going to need some help with this ATO, buddy. Like, things like that.
whatever the thing is. Yeah, getting this test set up, getting this tool stood up, this budget thing done. Whatever the thing is. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. No, I love that. All right, so so one other question for you: how do we balance the need for security priorities and what everything, what everyone else and what everything, like everything else that's happening? Because like working in security, there's kind of this mantra that like what we do is really important. We don't want the big bad hackers to come in and things to fall over and break and breaches to happen and all that stuff. It's like, how do you kind of set those things aside so that way people don't get all bent out of shape, and you're not like stack ranking your needs above what everyone else's needs are? Because I feel like if I like my last few roles were all in the like the startup scene, and so if I'm trying to make money as an organization, security may not be the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so I have the easy answer. Just put the security people in charge of all the money, and then things will work out. I
You
think.
think you think people will listen?
No, I think that's a horrible idea. I
Yeah.
think
Probably is.
I think we'd have a lot of cool things, and maybe not get a whole lot done business wise.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Um, but seriously, I think, you know, going out to the parts of your organization, especially, I think, in a business that's built to make widgets.
Mhm.
Like, find out. I mean, you need to get down and dirty in the widget makers, right? Like, what are they doing? What's their problems? Like, how does that work? So it reminds me a little bit of the part of the Phoenix project, where, and I'm horrible with names, so I'm going to destroy all that, but where they're standing up on top looking at the systems that are building, running the factory.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, so you need to do that, right? You need to understand and have that. Make sure as a leader you have the mindset, but also you need to build a culture of security is not going to be the most important thing
Yeah.
almost ever, like never. It's just not, right. The organization doesn't exist if we don't sell widgets, and so all the cybersecurity in the world isn't going to do anything if we're not selling any widgets. We're all going to go home and try and do, and look for something else to do. So I think just kind of talking to folks and finding out what their gripes are, and doing things about it, like little things like my computer times out. I run a thing that takes 15 minutes, and my screen times out after 10 minutes, and that's annoying. Well, okay, we can fix that. That's a thing that's relatively easy to fix. Just
Yeah.
listening to folks is underrated, man.
It is. It is. I think one thing that I found helpful, and this was mainly in the context of like being on the receiving end of a third party risk management process, where like another organization sending you questionnaires and all that, and you've got the salespeople freaking out because they want to get the thing done immediately. Like I put out this funny video that I cracked myself up making it a few weeks ago, of just Chris Farley in Black Sheep, like rolling down the hill, just getting like beat up on, and like the security, like kind of caricaturizing the security team dealing with the third party risk management process. And because that is definitely how it feels. Like you're just getting assaulted on all angles. Like they send it over, they don't want to accept your SOC 2, they don't want to accept your whatever certifications or attestations you have. They don't want to accept previous answers. Like everything, you're just kind of expected to conform and just deal with it. It's like pain you just got to deal with. And you can sit there and just get frustrated by it, or you can recognize that like the salesperson is there. They're not trying to be annoying. They're trying to win, massive enterprise, like, because the organizations who are typically difficult to deal with from the consumer side or the receiving side are the big companies. And what goes with big companies? Big contracts. And so is a big contract good for your company? Yeah, probably. If you've got an equity stake in it or something, like, yeah, you probably want to help do that thing. And so, kind of framing it for yourself, even in that perspective, like I'm doing this to help that process and help this deal move forward. And then you can unpack that a little bit more, and like, all right, Mr. and Mrs. CEO or other senior leaders of this organization, security has helped the sales process do X, Y, and Z more efficiently and effectively. Like we've not got caught up in this stage, like the sales pipeline looks like this, and this part of the pipeline, we turn around like that. Like we're really efficient. So that's the security team, as an enabler.
Yeah. And so I just this weekend read a couple of different things about how important cybersecurity is to investors. And so, folks that are looking to put money into organizations are really kind of looking at the cybersecurity stance of an organization before they decide to buy stock or invest, or however they're going to put their money towards the organization. And I think that's huge, right? That's a crazy idea for me, like so of course I heard it, and then I went all the way down the rabbit hole. But there's studies out there. It's super interesting. If you want to lose a Saturday afternoon, I highly advise you start reading about cybersecurity and investment strategy.
I love it. Fantastic. All right. Well, so I think that's all we got the time for. We're trying to keep this nice and short and sweet. So thank you, everyone. Hope you enjoyed this first episode with the Soft Side of Cyber podcast. I'm Rob Wood. Frank Demizio here joining me, as always. Thanks so much, everyone. Have an awesome rest of your day.